maybe I won't figure this out. I'll mess it up. I'll do something wrong. The visa might fall through. They'll deny my visa, miss my flight. Everything that you can think of going wrong came to my mind, like even before I applied. Right?
Okay.
I didn't even apply yet, right?
Uh-huh. Hello, folks. So we are here with Aneaka, and I am so excited to introduce you to her today. I was really excited because coming abroad, I was trying to find information from a Caribbean perspective. And then I found her on Instagram, and I was just like, this is what I'm looking for. And the perfect thing is that she also talks about the experience of other Caribbean millennials, such as from Barbados, Jamaica, all over the Caribbean. So I just love what she does. I think that she gives a lot of value. So we're going to learn more about her today. So hi, Aneaka.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Apryll. Thanks so much for reaching out to me and having me on your channel. I'm so excited to be here because, like you said, this is all the stuff that I live for.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really glad that you were able to benefit from the Caribbean Millennial and the content that I've been putting out and all the stories that we've been sharing. So I'm excited to dive in today.
Yeah. So, Aneaka, please tell us more about yourself. Where are you located now?
So right now I'm in Murcia, which is in the south of Spain, southeast, I believe, because I was in Madrid for the first 3 years, but I decided I wanted to try something different. This is my last year on the program, so I'm really into the cultural experiences and trying to get as much of a variety of what it means to be in a country from my experience abroad. So yeah, that's why I moved, really.
Wow, that's awesome. So you don't even want to just learn from a Madrid perspective, but also all over Spain.
As much as I can, just soak it all up.
Yeah, and I can sense that passion from you because from your content from Instagram and your podcast, which we will learn more about, I can sense that you really want to get as much information as possible and share that with others so that it can help us, because from a Caribbean perspective, I'm sure you know that. Well, it's like many of us may still have the thought that to travel, it's hard. It may be expensive and it may be only for luxury vacations. But as we are sharing with you, it doesn't have to be just for vacation. It can be for long term, for work, for study, for teaching English, right?
Yeah.
So, as we're mentioning teaching English, what program are you a part of right now?
So I'm currently on the beta program, which is, it's separate from the ministry program, which if you look up teaching English in Spain, you're gonna come across more information about the ministry program, which does not include us Caribbean people, especially if you don't have dual citizenship. So if you're Caribbean born, but you live in America and you have dual citizenship, you can do that program. But beta is a blessing for us Caribbean people because they acknowledge that we speak English. So I'm on that program. And yeah, I've been with them for the last 3 years. This is my fourth and my final year with them. And so I've just been really happy to share that experience with people, especially because, like you said before, you're going to look online, you're not going to find content that's related to you and your experience. So
there's many information online for people that are from different countries, but for Caribbeans, right? Caribbean people, there's hardly any. So I really am happy to find your content, and that's what I'm trying to do here as well, trying to create content.
The more the merrier. We need all of the perspectives that we can find. Yes. And that's why, for me, with the Caribbean Millennial, I didn't want it to be, this is Aneakaleigh's Trinidadian perspective on life in Spain. I was like, I'm here in Spain and there are so many Caribbean people. Let's have conversation. Let's share, And for me, like, one of the most important parts of it too in the sharing is sharing the struggles, because this is not easy. Like, you think moving abroad is difficult. You think it's impossible. It's not impossible. And it's not difficult, but it's not easy. And so in sharing what we've been through, in being open and honest about that, it gives you guys listening the opportunity to not make those mistakes, to learn from us and to grow before you even get here. And I think that's important.
Yes, it is. It really is. So why did you decide? Well, first of all, we're talking about the Caribbean and you are from Trinidad, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what are a few things people may not know about Trinidad?
Man, I don't know. Like, this question really like stumped me because I'm just like, what may people not know about Trinidad? We have the saying that Trini is like salt, we in everything. Listen, that's like the truth. Like, we are in everything. Like, I was shocked to find out the other day that there was I think like up to 3 Trinis that I know of who worked on Beyonce's Black is King project. One was her hairstylist, one did costuming, and then another one, she helped the costume director with the sewing. And I was just like mind blown. Trinidadians, we're everywhere, and I'm like, whoa, we do all these incredible things, and I'm absolutely sure that people from other countries all over the world are like salt and are in everything as well. But like that perspective of how much we've contributed to, different things that people hold in such high esteem just like makes me feel like, oh my goodness. And touching into that, we're very proud people, but not proud or patriotic in an American patriotic way. Like, no, it's not Trinidad or nothing. It's proud in we love our culture so much, we love our country so much, and we just love to share that with people. And when people eat roti and when people eat doubles, like, we're just excited to hear your feedback. Like, even if it's bad, we'll take it. The fact that you tried it, the fact that you're here with us, celebrating our culture, enjoying it, means the world to us. And I love that about us.
Yeah. Let me tell you something about doubles. It changed my life. So I actually came in contact with Trinidadians when I was in university at the University of the West Indies, and we hung out a lot, and they brought us to a Trinidadian restaurant, and we had doubles, we had bus-up shots. I'm telling you.
Did you have dal curry? Because that's my favorite roti. That's my favorite roti. Yeah.
It was amazing. And it wasn't even the authentic, because it was in Jamaica.
Right.
Right.
But they had a good hand. Like, all Caribbean people, we could cook.
But of course, we cook really well. So it's true. It was really good. So I really want to go to Trinidad, visit my friends, and just see the country.
You would love it there. You'd love that authenticity, because I think throughout the entire region, authenticity is like yes, we market tourism, but as you've experienced traveling around Europe, for example, you might see that it's more like, it feels like tourism, but home, we still have maintained. And I think that's what's important in our brand of tourism, the Caribbean style, the Caribbean lifestyle, Caribbean food. Yeah, so authenticity is something you'll experience once you get there. You love it.
So take a Caribbean trip. I'm telling you, you will enjoy it. All right, Aneaka. So why did you decide to do this program for up to 4 years?
I'm gonna give you the straight answer, and it's just like, I didn't really have a plan for my life. Like, so growing up, I was a person, I knew I was going to leave Trinidad and I was going to travel. That's all I wanted to do. That was top priority for 11-year-old me. And so Beta came up on my radar while I was in Colombia. I taught English there for 2 years as well. And, coming up to the end of that contract, I was just like, oof, I don't want to go home. Like, this is the beginning. It was a similar program to Beta, so we had a lot of Caribbean people there, and we had like a group chat. And one of my friends, Theron, he found the Beta program, and he shared it in the group, and almost all of us applied, and almost all of us got through, and almost all of us are still here today, 4 years later.
That's amazing. So you have a community as well. Exactly.
We've had that community. We built that community there. And we've transplanted that community here in Spain.
Yes. I came in, just last year. This is my second year now.
Yeah.
But I am so grateful for the Caribbean community I have here. even in my small little city, because I'm not in Madrid, I can
Yeah.
still connect with you guys on WhatsApp. And fun fact, Aneaka and I have not met face to face as yet.
Yeah.
So, just
What have, I would have met you if I hadn't left for Murcia, because I left for Murcia, I think, the same day that you came to Madrid.
oh yes, when I visited.
Yeah. So I would have met you had things turned out differently.
But I am looking forward to the day we'll meet. I believe
Yeah.
me, you know, and yes, I'm just to show that even if we haven't met face to face, the community is there. You feel the support, you get to learn from other people's perspective, and it helps so much. So, for the most part, you're not here on your own. So
No.
just encourage you have your community abroad, and just get in contact with us wherever you go.
Wherever you go. A story came to mind about having community, and I was in Colombia in a small city called Cincelejo in Sucre, and I'd gone to Cartagena, no, Barranquilla for Carnival. Casey lived in Barranquilla, and just being in the WhatsApp group, being in communication with these people. They're not friends, but they're community at that point. Casey wasn't a friend yet. But I went to Barranquilla and I ended up staying in her neighborhood. And I didn't know that, but I messaged her and I was like, hey girl, I'm in Barranquilla, da 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 da, Carnival, boom. And then she's like, where are you? And I'm like, I'm in this neighborhood. And she's like, I live in that neighborhood. And then we were like 5 minutes away from each other. And Ava was also visiting that weekend because it was Carnival in Barranquilla. So I met up with them, just by having access to that community, just by having a WhatsApp group. Mm-hmm. So like if you go somewhere, and one of my biggest concerns when I move abroad is always, am I gonna find Caribbean people? Mm-hmm. If you think that that's, a thing that you're going to be fixated on, just like you start up the group, create the WhatsApp group. So when you meet another person, like, hey, there's a WhatsApp group, let's stay connected. Mm-hmm. And that's how it builds and it grows. And then, because when we moved to Madrid, it was just the four of us, Casey, myself, Danielle, and Ranil. We just the four of us. And now we're like 50 people. And I'm just like, every time somebody new is added to the group, I'm like,
amazing.
Yeah. Just because I know the power of having that community, of having just somebody to turn to ask for help, of having somebody to just, say, this thing happened to me today and I don't know how to feel about it. That's important.
It is very important because sometimes you just need to share, you just need to share what's going on. It may not be the same tomorrow, but in that space, especially when you are abroad for the first time, you're gonna go through culture shock, and just having the community there helps a lot.
So much, like culture shock. I think people underestimate it, truly, because it's like these smallest things that really get to you.
Yes. Yeah, because you're not in the environment you're used to, so everything is big for you, even if it's, technically small.
Well, yeah, like I can say that 4 years later. But like beginning, for example, in the beginning, like I remember coming, I was like, oh my goodness, this is my first time in like a huge city, Madrid. I lived in Bogota before, but it didn't seem that huge compared to here. Like when I was looking at the maps of Madrid, I was just like, I'm not gonna get this. But fortunately, Casey, Danielle, and Ranil had already been here for some time, a couple of days really. But they had more experience than me. So I really clung on to them. My first week here, I was like, okay, how does this work? Where do I get tickets? Like, and if it wasn't for them, I would have been a complete fish out of water. Just like, even though I speak Spanish, but it's just like that overwhelm of being in a brand new place.
Yes.
And then when you think about the magnitude of it, oh my gosh, I'm in Europe. It's like, what?
Yeah, all those feelings combined, everything is hitting you
all at once.
Yeah, so definitely having a community helps. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned that you had traveled before coming to Madrid. What was that experience like, and where did you go?
So my first big girl move abroad experience was to Colombia. I studied Spanish at the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine campus in Trinidad, Tobago. And there, a lot of our lecturers were Colombian. They came from the Pedagógica Nacional, which is a public university that trains teachers in different subjects. And so most of mine had studied Spanish to teach Spanish as a foreign language, and they taught at UE. And there was an exchange program at the end of our second year doing the degree, where 3 of us would go to Bogota and 3 from Bogota would come to Trinidad and help people on the St. Augustine campus with Spanish, and we go to the Pedagógica Nacional and help people with their English. Oh. And that was like my first experience teaching English. That was my first time away from home for an extended period of time. Mm-hmm. And even though it was what I had wanted at 11 years old, when that opportunity came to me, I kind of like froze and I didn't want to take it. Oh. I'd gone through so much to get there, by the way. Like I enrolled at UE and I was studying geography and environmental, something about the environment. And I don't say that lightly because I was confused in those classrooms. I was like, why am I here? So I spent an entire year just being like, what's going on? Uh-huh. And then I switched to the Spanish program, back on track, feeling like I'm on course, I'm gonna move abroad soon. I could feel it in the air. And the opportunity comes and I'm like, ooh, am I ready? Mm-hmm. Is this what you really want? Like, mm-hmm. And like all of those things that we kind of briefly touched on before, kind of like feeling like this is gonna be hard. Even though you're going through a program, even though you have the support of your Colombian teachers, even though you have the support of students who had done the exchange the year before, mm-hmm. Just feeling like, maybe I won't figure this out, I'll mess it up, I'll do something wrong, the visa might fall through, they'll deny my visa, miss my flight, everything that you can think of going wrong came to my mind, like even before I applied. Right? Okay. I didn't apply yet, right? Uh-huh. I wasn't gonna apply, like honestly. Uh-huh. But I ended up applying only because I found out that only 3 people were gonna apply, myself included. Oh. I was like, if 3 of us gonna apply, then 3 of us gonna go. It's like a shoo-in. So I ended up doing that because a lot of my peers that year were really focused on, they want to graduate and they want to start working and start their lives. Mm-hmm. And to each his own, Yeah. But for me, I was like, that's not what I want. Like, I don't even know what my life's going to look like. So I'm going to take this year as a sabbatical and experience something different. Mm-hmm. Like, I talked about this before, like, that's a huge thing for me. There's like, immersing yourself in a different culture and seeing how other people live. And my degree is in Spanish. This is a great opportunity for me to improve my fluency because at that point I did speak Spanish, but fluently no. So Colombia, that first year in Colombia was a huge learning curve in terms of really testing my resilience, testing my ability to navigate new situations and difficult situations, because one of the things I didn't think about happened and nobody wanted to happen. I lost my passport. And it would have been fine if it was like just my passport, but I lost my passport. It's my 10-year US visa in it. That I had just gotten. So yeah, so it sucked. And to this day, I could remember that feeling, just feeling like the wind was just like completely hit out of your body. And you're just like having like you can see your body from above and just like, wow, this really happened to me. But that experience, I can look back, what is it now? 6 years later. Wow, 6 years later. Ooh, wow. I have like 3 more years left on that visa before I can apply for a new one. But for me, it was just like looking back at that now and just seeing how, again, building community and like relying on these people, and that everything is figure outable. Mm-hmm. Like, you have a problem, it's not the end of the world. Yeah. You're not the first person to lose their passport, and you're not going to be the last person to lose their passport. Mm-hmm. Fortunately for me, like, I was in a situation where I lived in Colombia. So I had, a decent amount of time to put things together and figure out how I'm getting home. And so it wasn't like a matter of you're on a trip and somebody steal your bag with all of your belongings in it, so you can't figure your life out, This was my base. So I had ample space and opportunity to figure it out. And, Colombians as well, my friends who were around me at the time, they were just so supportive and just there for me in ways that I couldn't imagine people would be there for you. And so that first year was a very grounded and learning experience. Then I went back to Trinidad. I went back home, got a new passport, graduated, and moved back to Colombia. Because at the end of the degree program, we have the opportunity, I think, across all campuses of the UE to do ECTEX, which is at the government level. And they send you different parts of Colombia to different universities. I think some people go to high schools, but the majority of us worked in universities. And that year, I didn't get placed in a big city. I was placed in a small town. So again, more learning. I knew Colombia, yes, but I knew big city Colombia. Here I was in Sincelejo. Some Colombians don't even know where that is or what that is. Majority of people are probably who listening to this now, probably what? So Sincelejo is on the Caribbean coast, and in the same way we speak English in our own style, they speak Spanish in their own style.
Wow.
And I left Sincelejo and I still don't understand anything anybody said to me there. I don't understand. But I have a friend who's from Barbados, and he was in Sincelejo that year as well. When I met Chad in Sincelejo, he didn't speak any Spanish. When Chad left Sincelejo, Chad didn't speak Spanish either. Chad was speaking Sincilejano. To this day, he amazes me. I'm just what? But me now, because I went in with my Spanish, I was just confused. I was this was not in the textbook.
Yeah, it not the foundation that you learned.
It just not connecting, and so that's also another thing that a lot of us that's a challenge that you're gonna have to overcome. I was able to do the things that I needed to do in Spanish with people who I understood, and people who made themselves understandable to me. And that's another thing. People don't have to accommodate you. You're in their space.
Yeah.
So you have to work with what you're getting. Again, whether that means through community. So you make friends and they help you out. So yeah, things like that. So you learn so much, and there's just we can sit and we can talk for hours, Apryll and I, or anybody who comes on my podcast, anybody who's on my blog, and talk about our experiences, but we could never cover all the things that you're gonna experience.
No, it's true. It's something that if you're interested in, you have to experience for yourself. But the good thing is that you can also hear from people before you. And you know what? I'm so happy you actually overcame that challenge. And even though I'm sure it was hard,
Oh my God.
I'm sure now that you look back, you're grateful in a way that you know how you overcame it, and you know that you're stronger and you can do this.
Exactly.
It reminds me of a quote that I saw recently on Instagram, and it actually fits into this, where it says, "Don't be too hard on yourself when you make mistakes. Other people have made the same mistake as you have, so try your best to move past it while doing the best thing in the situation." So
exactly. Yeah. And I'd like to add to that quote also. It's other people have also made the mistake, but when we make a mistake, it also comes from a place of we don't know at that moment better.
Yes.
So that when you make that mistake, you learn from that. Don't just make a mistake and beat yourself up about it, like the quote says, but make the mistake. Don't actively make mistakes. Make mistakes. And just know that there's a lesson to learn from that, and use that moving forward, because when you know better, you do better. So
you do.
Yeah, don't hold it against yourself. It's not worth it.
So helpful. So you mentioned your podcast, Bacchanal Abroad.
Bacchanal Abroad, yes.
About it.
Yeah, so this year I actually started the podcast. We were going into lockdown, the first lockdown in Madrid, in Spain.
Yes.
And at that point, I was just I'm going to buy a microphone. We're going to start a podcast.
Nice.
Because in the group, in the WhatsApp group, like I think Ferosa had talked about this. She was like, "Oh, it'd be really cool if you did a podcast." It's like podcast and a blog. That's like plenty work though. And then I was like, "But now all this free time is on the horizon." So I was like, "Do it." So yeah, I really created, Bacchanal Abroad as like an add-on to the Caribbean Millennial. Just because I feel like people connect more to when, like, yeah, I can see you, and I know that you look like me, and I know you come from where I come from, but like when I could hear your voice and I could connect to your accent, because like that's it for me. Like hearing another Caribbean accent, I'm just like ears perked up. I want to know everything.
Yeah.
Especially when it's in a space that I'm interested in. So like in this case, moving abroad, it's like, for me, I wanted to like create that just so that people could always have a place that they can come back to and hear these stories and get the advice and get the support that they needed in the form of a podcast. Not everybody on Instagram, not everybody like to read blogs. So
another medium.
Yeah, another medium.
Yeah, so I actually got the privilege of being on your podcast, and I'm actually grateful for that. So go ahead and listen to her podcast. I've listened to several of them, the episodes already, and it is helpful when you're doing your chores, when you're just, sitting and relaxing. That's the great part about podcasts. You can do them while doing something else, so you don't have to sit and read or sit and watch. So yeah, thank you for creating that, and it's going strong. Yeah, you've interviewed several people, so please go.
Yeah, I'm always so happy, especially that people want to share. Because sometimes I feel like in our communities we can hold things back because we don't want to come across as weak, or sometimes you don't want to come across as bossy, or sometimes you don't want to come across as different things. I'm kind of like hoard information, and I was like, no. We're not hoarding anything here.
Yes.
This isn't like, especially having been in that place where I'm looking and I can't find the information, and I want this. I was like, I know that there's a need from a place where I was 6 years ago. So it's that thing about creating the thing that you want to see, like being the change that you want to be in the world doesn't mean stopping hunger and poverty. That'd be great if you could do that. But it also means like these small things, like filling the void where information is missing for your community, supporting people in whatever way that you can. It doesn't have to, I think we always think about it in grandiose ways.
Yeah.
But it's very simple if you want to make it simple.
Yeah, it's so true. And so you have been abroad for what, 6 years now?
Yeah, I would say, I think it's 5. Yeah, 5. This will be year 6.
So how does that affect your connection with home, or what you feel to be your connection?
My friends always like pick on me for this and make fun and stuff like that, just because I love Trinidad and Tobago from afar. I can't see myself like, living there. Like I love my culture and I love the people, but to live long term, just not my style at the moment. I think in my youth I just want to explore, I just want to see, I want to do more, and there's a lot of things that I can't see and do at home. In being abroad, it has definitely led to even more of a disconnect for me. Yeah, like sometimes when people ask me about Caribbean culture and Caribbean people, and I've been away from home for 5 years, that's half a decade now. It's like at some point I start feeling like I'm not even really Trini anymore. Like, what's this slang? What people let's talk about? Like, what people let's do? Like, what's the latest? And even like in my accent, I feel like it's changed so much. Even though I really that's my thing. Like, I like to hold on to that, but you can only hold on to it so much 5 years away from home. So yeah, my bond with home is still on an identity level. Like, that's who I am. I am Trinidadian. I'm never denying that. Like, if anybody asks me where I'm from, it's painstaking. As you may know, here in Spain, there's like, what? Especially for Trinidad and Tobago, just because the phonetics are so different, English to Spanish. And when you explain Trinidad y Tobago, they're like, sí, está en Africa, no? But because I love my country so much, I go through the routine of this line of questioning to educate these people and tell them, no, this is where it is, this is what we do, this is who we are. So like, yeah, at an identity level, that's who I am. I'm Trinidadian, I'm Trinbagonian, can't forget Tobago at all.
Right.
And that runs in my blood. That's a part of me, literally. So yeah, I feel like it's been a disconnect in terms of like staying up to date and staying current. But for me, at my root, at my core, I'm Trinbagonian. So
yeah, you never lose that.
You never lose that.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I think maybe there may be this. How do I explain? I've seen some statements made for people who, about people, I should say, that travel abroad, like, thinking that somehow they don't care about their country or they think they're better than. And I think that that's a big lie, because at the root of it, we love our countries. We definitely, can identify. And if anybody should say anything, you can see our attitude, But at the same time, we also understand that there's more outside and we want to explore, for those of us who are interested in traveling.
I wanted to add to that, and one of the things that came up for me as you were talking about that point is just that one of the things that frustrates me personally is that when, for example, in the Trinidadian context, in the Trinbagonian context, all of our leaders have, traveled the world and they've attended all these summits and these conferences and they've rubbed shoulders with all of these people and they're in positions of power to make changes. They've seen all the things that work and all the things that don't work. But for some reason, they keep us stuck in these historical colonial contexts that do not apply anymore. And when I travel, that's why I do it. Because if and when I go back home and I'm in the workforce, I'm in, in a role contributing in a meaningful way to society, it is to effect positive change. It's not just to be better than. Like, what does that mean? I feel like when people say better than, it is projection. They think you're better than them. Nobody thinks they're better than anybody else. Everybody has their own things that they're dealing with. Who has time to feel like I'm better than you? What? But yeah, so for me, this whole experience it's cumulative in that when I go back home, I definitely want to share this with people. And because I've been away from home for 5 years, I do that through my blog and through my podcast, because I'm not gonna wait until I go home, like hoard all this information and then take it home like a savior. No, I want you to have this information now because it's important now, and it will be important years from now. But yeah, so like to add to that point, that's how I feel about, us moving abroad and us traveling and us experiencing the world and exploring and doing. It is, in a sense, going to benefit all of us in the long term.
Yeah, it will. And I just love what you said. I mean, seeing other things that are happening abroad that works and bringing it to your country. That is so important, because it's true, we are developing. That means we still need things to change and to get better while keeping the things that are working.
Yeah, of course. And it's not like to just, take this thing from Spain and just, transplant it home. No. As Caribbean people who have lived in Spain, for example, if we've seen something that works, we know both contexts and we know what would make the most sense back home and what would, what makes the least sense in these contexts. So yeah, it's not just gonna be, they do this amazing thing in Spain. They don't wash their hands when they use the bathroom. That's a generalization. Oh, they don't wash their hands when they use the bathroom. We shouldn't do that too. Nobody's gonna do that.
No, you come to the Caribbean with that.
Please. Like, this just drives the point home more. Hey guys, keep washing your hands.
Yeah.
It's doing it right.
Yeah, that's a good thing. And you know what? You touched on something really incredible. When you travel abroad, you also learn what is actually good in your country compared to others, because that occurs. You realize that, oh my gosh, what we've been doing, which is normal to us, this is a good thing, and other countries may not have the same perspective. Like how?
add in, yeah, add into that. It's kind of like, you think you're moving to Spain, you're moving to Europe, it's gonna be better than back home. No, like, if you are a Caribbean person listening to this, watching this video, please, and you have this idea that things that are not from the Caribbean are better, inherently better for some reason, forget that.
Not the truth.
Forget it. That's not true. That's a stereotype that, they drilled into us thanks to colonialism. But we need to discard that because, as you just heard, there are some things that are but okay. Like how do you use the bathroom and don't wash your hand? Like, where you get that from? You get dragged up. It's not clicking. So don't expect, and like another nightmare that we have here is bureaucracy. And I think back home it's the same. I know in Trinidad it's the same. I can't complain about things taking long in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
You will expect, because it's a first world country, that it shouldn't take so long, but it does. Yeah. And you have to live with that.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, it's similar in Jamaica. It's the same. Things, you go to a government office.
But forget going after lunch. Nobody walking.
Service you get in. People ready to go home.
If you don't reach there 9 o'clock, if you don't reach there before the door open, forget it. Like.
Yeah, so exactly. So there are some things that you will see that are similar, definitely things that are better, but definitely things that are not as good. So one thing I've also learned is that I have come to appreciate my country more being abroad. And it's the truth for me personally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I definitely love being here, but I also get to see that these things that I just took as normal are really important, and I love my country more. So
yeah, for sure. There are so many things that you can talk about. Mm-hmm. I, for one, here in Spain, they do enjoy like socializing, but their version of socializing is very chatty. I'm not a very chatty person. I can't talk about nothing for hours. Let's put it that way, because that's what they do. I just be like, how y'all still talking? Like, what?
Yeah,
and I know we're in the middle of a pandemic and I don't know what it's gonna look like after this, but I miss, our Caribbean context of socializing, going out into an open space and food and drinks and everybody having a good time, and everybody, I don't know you from anywhere, but you're my friend in this space right here, and it's so easy to connect with people. And back to that point about Trinidadians being so proud of their culture, it even like within from like how we relate to each other. So like you don't know anybody, you don't know this person, you go somewhere alone, but you leave with friends.
Yeah.
I miss that. I just miss how open and just like it's how easy it is to relate. Maybe that's because I'm a Caribbean person, and maybe if I was Spanish, it might be easier for me to relate to Spanish people. But I've heard, because I've been here for 3 years, in talking with people who are not from Madrid, that Madrileños, people in Madrid, they're hard to connect with.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe it's not even us being from outside of the culture. It's just, it's hard to connect with people from Madrid.
Wow, that's actually a good perspective, because I am in Andalusia. I'm in the south of Spain, in Jaén, and I have connected. It's not a lot, but the people that I've connected with, it's actually incredible how good our connection is. Whenever we go out, it's like they're there for me. They're there to help me. And within my school, I'm telling you, it feels like a family. I feel so included, and I don't get the same perspective as in Madrid, but in the south, they definitely have a friendly, a welcoming vibe here. And I guess with socializing, they still have the small talk. They still have the custom where they will sit. But in terms of connection, I feel like I have a good connection here.
Yeah. So like if for me, like moving to Murcia, where I am now, I can see the difference already. It's a smaller city, and people know you're not from here. And so people are they're willing to offer a hand. Everybody's like, oh, anything you need, anything. And they go out of their way to try to help you. Maybe in the end, it might have wasted your time, which has happened. Maybe it might have wasted my time, but you know what? At least they made the effort.
Yeah.
At least they tried. Because in my experience in Madrid, they're just gonna be like, I don't know. Like,
And that's it.
Get a lawyer. Like, you know. So yeah, it's different everywhere you go. And I find that in smaller cities, it's easier to connect in general. The only difference for me has been Colombia, where across the board, it was easy to connect with people. Small town, big town, everybody was just like, oh my gosh, come, let me come and eat this, come and do this, like try this bear, eat this apple. Like, you know.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. But like here, it's been very different across the regions.
Yeah. I think the regions do have a difference with their customs, and I just want to make you aware, those that are listening, it's not like everyone is perfect.
Oh yeah.
But the people that we've connected with, they've been really great.
Yeah.
So Aneaka, just to land the plane a bit, what advice would you give to those that desire to travel abroad from the Caribbean, those that are thinking about it?
So these spaces that, you know, Apryll's created, that I've created, use them. Ask us questions, reach out to us. Speaking from my personal experience, I know at times I can be I don't want to ask for help, for shame and like whatever reasons, but forget that. Like, these spaces exist for you. Like any question, there are no stupid questions. I come to understand, like before I used to be like, that's a dumb question, why would you ask that? But some people, they're just things that people don't know, and that's why we're here. That's why we're in dialogue. If it's something that we didn't talk about in the video that you really want to know, slide in our DM, send us a message. Because you, like I said before, you can never know everything that you need to know before you leave, but you can make use of the tools that exist and try to get as comfortable and as familiar as possible. Also, because I have the experience of moving abroad without a plan, have a plan, figure it out. That's, you know, for me, initially with the Caribbean Millennial, it was just like, oh, to put information out there, like, yes, you can travel, yes, you can do this, we're all doing it, come do it too. Now I'm taking more of an approach of, okay, I've been here for a long time and I feel like a spinning top in mud, as we say in Trinidad. How do you avoid this? How do you, like, you know, plan to yourself?
Yeah.
If you know you're going to be here for 1 year, what are the things that you want to do? How do you want this experience to enrich your life? Figure that out, because listen, 1 year abroad is like 2 months.
Yeah.
Time flies so fast. I remember my first year in Colombia. I didn't do much my first year in Colombia because there was no time. Plus I lost my passport. It was like there was nothing to do. You really want to ground yourself and plan. What are the experiences that you want to have? You want to move abroad for love. You know you looking for a boyfriend or girlfriend. That's top of your priority. If you know you want to save money, you know that's the top of your priority. And just plan that out, because the time disappears. Like, I can't believe it's 5 years out here already. 5 years.
Oh, Aneaka, I really love that. I really love that. Yeah, definitely have a plan as much as you can. What do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish?
Yeah, because this is not just, you know, time off work or time off life, which blows my mind, because a lot of, you know, the older generation back home, my family, they're like, so when you coming home again, a real job? I'm like these 5 years of my life don't exist. Like, these 5 years of my life haven't contributed in a meaningful way to my growth and to, you know, there's not free time, there's not play. And a lot of people think that I just out here playing. I'm not. Like, I'm not. And so I really want to encourage you to not see it as, time off life, because it's not. It is part of your life, and it's going to contribute in a meaningful way if you let it. And you should let it. So plan for that. Incorporate it into your vision for your life. I don't want to get all preachy, but yeah, there's a bigger picture, and how are these years abroad gonna feed into that for you?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm listening and I'm interviewing you, but I'm actually getting a lot of gems from this.
That's why I'm here, girl. So yeah, like for me, I just really, that's the kind of thing that I want people to like take away from all of our conversations, from interacting in these spaces. Like, not to make like, the mistakes that I've made, for example, like just moving abroad without a plan, just like, hey, gonna be abroad, living the life. Living the life, but it's actually living my life. It's not just the life. Whose life are you living? Because that's the other thing. Like, when we say living the life, it's always coming from a place of like boastfulness and bragging and like, look at me, I'm abroad, you at home. Like, no, this is your life. Like, stay focused.
Stay focused.
Stay focused, because it's so easy to lose the plot also. Like, it's so easy to go, of course, and you're abroad and all these things are new and shiny. You want to do everything, you want to meet everybody, you want to go everywhere, and you kind of end up losing yourself. And you have to regroup really quickly and stay focused, stay on track.
And as you said, if you realize that you're in that space, then just regroup, refocus.
Come back to yourself. It's easy.
It is. Okay, so if you could describe long-term traveling abroad in one word, what would you say? What's the first thing?
The first thing that came to my mind there was life-changing. You are not gonna go back home the same person. If you travel for 2 weeks and you do a mini Euro trip, or you go to South America on a road trip, whatever, you spend 5 days in St. Lucia on the beach, you're gonna go back home the same person. That's not, maybe you may have had a life-changing experience in that time, not discounting it, but definitely when you live abroad long-term, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 15 years, you are such a different person. Because now I am not the 22-year-old Aneakaleigh that left Port of Spain to live in Colombia. And I am not the 24-year-old Aneakaleigh that left Colombia to move to Spain. I have all of those experiences contributing to 27-year-old Aneakaleigh here in Murcia. And that's going to contribute to 90-year-old Aneakaleigh. Wherever she might find herself in whatever space, and just being able to look back and see all of the changes in your life and how that led you to where you are, wherever you are right now. That's what long-term traveling is gonna do for you. It's gonna change your life, and it's up to you to decide for the good or for the better, because it is gonna happen. There's no going back the same person, but it's up to you to make the most of that experience and then to learn the lessons. And there are good lessons and there are bad lessons. I'm not just saying that they're only going to be bad lessons. It's going to be some amazing moments.
Yes.
And all of it is going to change your life.
Yes, it will. Wow. Life changing. Yeah, I think that's the best way to end it today, just knowing that traveling abroad, it is life-changing. And as Aneaka said, it can be good, it can be bad, but you have to decide, because it's inevitable. It will change you. So thank you so much, Aneaka, for coming on. Thank you for giving us your time, for being here, for sharing so much good gems. I mean, I really appreciate it. I'm sure others will as well. And if you want to connect with Aneaka, can you tell us how we can connect with you, please?
Where am I not? not on TikTok, but I'm not on YouTube either. So you can actually interact with me on Instagram. That's where you mostly find any of my travel content and like my move abroad stuff. At the Caribbean Millennial, there's also my personal page at Ashford Oxford. The Bacchanal Abroad podcast. Tune in weekly, every Saturday. There are new episodes, one-on-one interviews with Caribbean Millennials, just like myself and Apryll. Pretty much a space just like this where we share and connect. And also like monthly, I do an episode that's kind of like a reflective episode to kind of like help people just like to use what they have where they are to get to where they want to be, which is very important for me. And it's not just about physically traveling, but also, you know, taking time to connect with yourself. So yeah, that is how and where. Where else? On Facebook, we have at the Caribbean Millennial on Facebook. So you can like the page and share. And I just always am so honored to be in these spaces, and honored that A, they exist, and B, that I can share as well. Because it's very, and I use the word important, but I don't use it lightly. It's important that we have these spaces that we can show up in authentically as ourselves and support each other, empower each other, and yeah, connect with me, even if it means to just have a conversation. I'm always here.
Yeah, and I can tell you something personally. When she says that connect with her, it's no joke. I connected with her on Instagram, and yeah, it started there with a conversation that we had. So she's definitely open and willing to help you. And what you heard today is just like the tip of the iceberg. There is so much more. So I would definitely encourage you to go check her out. All right. So thank you, Aneaka. I look forward to seeing you all soon. Have a great day.